some news, man. Um, the, now the red wave, which is in the political sense, is when basically everyone come midterms or election season will vote Republican. So there was supposed to be this sort of red wave this upcoming midterm due to the poor, presidency of the Biden administration. Unfortunately, it might be derailed with these next two news topic. So the first one is from CNBC. The Supreme Court says leak abortion draft is authentic. Robert orders investigation into leak. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts on Tuesday confirmed that the leaked draft document is authentic opinion that would toss out long-standing abortion rights, but he noted that the court decision isn't final. Roberts ordered an investigation into the leaker. To the extent this betrayal of confidence of the court was intended to undermine the integrity of our operation, it will not succeed. The Chief Justice said in a statement Tuesday, the work of the court would not be affected in any way. President Joe Biden said earlier Tuesday that he will work with Congress to pass and sign legislation if the reported draft opinion does reflect the final ruling. After Roberts, so fellas, I don't know if you guys caught wind of what has transpired this week with this leaked document regarding the repeal of Roe v. Wade. So one, how do you feel about a possible repeal of Roe v. Wade on a federal level? And two, how do you feel about the leaked document of this a possible decision that might come down later on this year?
Yo. My bad, bro. I was trying to unmute myself, bro. I was trying to unmute myself. Fingers is all wet and shit. I don't know, man. This whole pregnancy, abortion, whatever, nigga, the women should be able to choose what the hell they want to do. Like, end the story. I mean, I can't really put it any more than that. Like, I understand, niggas want to make abortion. Everybody has their own feeling, has their own opinion on, what people should do with babies. But I don't know. I've always been torn between, like, being unsure of, like, what's worse, aborting a child or having a kid and then putting their ass up in the foster care system or for adoption or whatever. You know what I mean? So, like, we can't on one hand be mad at the baby mamas and the parents, let's just say parents in general, for not being good parents when in one hand, and then in another hand, y'all niggas mad, like y'all mad because they don't want to have the babies in the first place. So, nigga, if we got freedom of speech and all these other fucking freedoms in America, nigga, you should be able to do what the fuck you want to do with your body.
Now, real quick, I need to add this. So the repeal of Roe v. Wade won't, like, what they're saying on what is being leaked is they want to give that right or the determination back to the state. They think that Roe v. Wade should not be a federal law governing the nation. They think that should be done on a state level.
That's something that should be just fucking, in my opinion, nigga. Not even worldwide, but just countrywide. Nigga, murder is murder countrywide. Fucking, you gotta pay taxes countrywide. Nigga, this should be something where it's the same shit right across the board for a country.
I got you. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's how our education is all fucked up. But that's for a discussion later on today. Black Zeus Smith, welcome, brother.
Hey, what's going on, man?
On a more personal level, I don't give a fuck. I'll be honest with you. I just really don't give a fuck. I made the right choices for my life. If you didn't make the right choice for your life, that's on you. But more an objective, Roe versus Wade, like, I agree with Kel. If it's going to be a law, it's either going to be federal straight across the board. It's going to either be straight across the board or not at all. It's going to be straight across the board or not at all. Unless there is some sort of, like, real legitimate, like, state funding or something like that type of issue, then it should be straight across the board,
or not at all? I mean, I think they should do the same thing with weed and all of that shit. Just is either legal straight across the board or not at all. We can't just be like, oh, it's legal in this state, legal in this state, illegal in this state. Same thing with gun laws and this kind of other. We need to get like some consistency in the government. But as far as like if they should turn it over and this, that, and the other, this whole idea of women's rights, I'm not against women's rights. But where's that talk when, you know, you go out to a club with a girl, you hook up with her, the rubber breaks, she says she's keeping it. Fuck what you got to say as a man. You can't say, well, you know what, I don't want to have it and I should not be held responsible for it. In the words of Dave Chappelle, if you could abort it, I should be able to abandon it because I get no rights whether, you know, you want to keep it or not. And if you decide to keep it, even though you made that decision for yourself, I'm still held liable for a decision I did not make. I still got to pay child support. And sometimes in the case where I'm not the father, you put my name on a piece of paper, I got to be held responsible. So until we deal with those laws, I don't give a fuck about your rights. You don't give a fuck about my rights. I don't give a fuck about yours. That's just just raw is how I feel about it. Two is the fact of fuck all that. I see all these women get up in arms. They're gonna take away our abortion rights. And it's just like, hold up. There's like 30 different forms of birth control. None of you bitches thought about using that shit first. You want to wait. You want to drive on a fucking road at 100 miles an hour. The road is wet and no seatbelt, no airbag. And then you expect to go through the fucking windshield and expect a safety net to catch you after? Fuck yourself. I mean, like but the whole thing is, it's like that should be the concern. If do you have options to birth control, spermicide, pill, the ring, the shot, female condoms? Like there are so many options of birth control to prevent pregnancy, but all y'all worry about is after the pregnancy. And there's still a plan B. After you got fucked the next morning, you could take a plan B. So all these options, and that's not what you're worried about. You're worried about the end fail all, you know, the fail safety. You know what I mean? Like to me, like the concern is in a fucked up place. Like maybe back in 1973 when they set this shit up, it made more sense. But today in 2022, when you have all these preventative options, it's escaping liability. It's escaping, you know, responsibility. And you know, I'm sorry if they're gonna hold men responsible, you know, fuck that. Hold the women responsible too.
Smith.
Oh yeah, I was. So one, that ain't supposed to happen with the Supreme Court, but that's what we are with our American democracy as a whole. They're not supposed to have leaks like that, so that shouldn't happen. Doesn't put much confidence in the Supreme Court. So that's one. As far as the women's abortion, I hear Black Zeus with that, but at the end of the day, I think they should leave that alone. That's a woman's decision if she want to have an abortion, and I think it should stay that way. There are a lot of different instances where you can make an excuse of why a woman would get an abortion, from rape to incest, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter the excuse. If it's a decision that they just choose to make, then they choose to make. I would rather them have the abortion still and have the child become a ward of the state, and it be that way. I think if you look back at it, they tried to do this shit. You all might remember this. They tried to do this with the kids, where you could have a kid and you can drop it off at any firehouse or police station or church, and nobody would question it. You know, you can just basically kind of abandon the kid, but you would be turning it over to somebody and nobody would question it. If you look back at that, when they were doing that, more abortions were still happening than people abandoning kids, because at the end of the day, the thought is, well, if we force these women to have this kid, their mothers and their natural instinct might want them to keep the baby. That's bullshit. There's just going to be more kids on the fucking system. That's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So, and as far as what was the other thing? I think I covered everything.
Yeah. You covered everything.
That's what
it was this one interesting tweet where this white liberal chick, made a damning comment regarding this potential verdict that the Supreme Court might have later on this year. So to make her point, she tweeted, "I do wonder how these white supremacist lawmakers would feel if their little white daughters were raped and impregnated by black men." So that went viral regarding
you fucking white bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's just
You fucking I hate these bitches when they always want to bring black people as some sort of weapon. Oh, well, what about slavery? If slavery, if you're voted for slavery, this, that, and the other. Oh, what if your daughter gets pregnant by you fucking white cunt.
Yeah, so her name was Amanda Dorte, and she caught a lot of flack. She briefly deactivated her Twitter, and then she reactivated it, realizing the error of her message, and she was willing to take on a lot of criticism. And I try to access those tweets again so you guys can read it, but apparently she deactivated her Twitter again. So she was. So
that's some bullshit.
Yeah,
I might find that bitch. Oh no. Yeah. Oh,
but
even though most of their little white daughters were being raped by their own fucking fathers,
daddies.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. I just wanted to share like how extreme some people got with defending the Roe v. Wade, law. In regards to like how I feel about abortion, I'm not a huge fan of abortion. I understand, women should be allowed to choose what they want, as they may with their own body, but I just feel like abortion, you should never get to the point of having to have an abortion with all the contraceptives that Black Zeus mentioned. So, I've seen not just aborted fetus, just aborted babies. And I remember seeing those images early as a kid, and it always scarred me. Just seeing a life wiped out like that. But ultimately I do land with a woman's, right to choose however they may. But I'm not the biggest fan of abortion.
But at the end of the day, guys, is that a full term? Because if any abortion, like as soon as the sperm is hitting the fetus, then anyone, it would be illegal because you're already looking at it
as a life. Correct. Yeah. I don't, Smith, you've probably been paying attention to this. So there's been several states that have already dictated when an abortion should be considered illegal. Some have, said after 6 weeks. Some have, I think that's been some of those stricter ones, the 6-week ruling. And there's some that have been like, after the second trimester, there shouldn't be any. So I'm not I get the religious stance that some people like, as soon as the sperm hits the womb and it's like instant life right there. I don't have a strong stance right there, but I do feel like after the second trimester that, I'm not the biggest fan after that. I'm not to say that you can't do it, but I'm just not the biggest fan after that.
Yeah, it's tricky and slippery because the abortion, using the abortion as just the birth control mechanism.
That's what it is. Yes.
I know that's the part that probably bothering to everybody on the panel, using it as
pissing me off.
I get. If that's the thing, that's the birth control mechanism where if I get pregnant, I can just have an abortion. Fuck it, I just get pregnant.
But it's not even just that I can just have an abortion. It's just the fact of women who are not even in the situation are up in arms about that. You're basically saying I should have that option. And most of women are not thinking, well, if the child has Down syndrome, if I was raped, if it's incest. Most of them are not thinking. They're just thinking, if I just had regular sex, and I got pregnant, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not saying themselves, most of these women are not talking from the point of, well, if I took every precaution, I took the pill, I used the spermicide, I used a ring, I used, a condom, X,
Exactly.
Y, and Z.
Yes.
Most of them are not even talking about that. They're just saying the option should be there, period. They're not even talking about the option should be there if all the protocols or
has failed. Exactly.
preemptive have failed. Most of them not
Yeah.
using that argument. They're just saying, like this fucking feminist bitch, this dumbass shit.
Well, part of it too is that they already have the.
Let Kel chime. Was that Kel?
I say that part of it too is, I mean, they've been given the option, so now y'all trying to take this shit away. I don't know. I'm all for if the alternative is this kid is gonna live a rough ass life to just not bring the nigga into the world if you have that option. Like, I mean, I get it's fucked up. I know that they used it as they're using it as contraceptive when they probably, it's not the most responsible way to look at it that way. If the end result is going to be.
But most times, the child is probably going to have a fucked up life if the mother is deciding to get rid of their child.
That's what I'm saying. I'm for the abortion, bro.
Yeah, like.
That's what I'm saying. Even if it's second trimester or whatever it is, like, you change your mind and realize, like, yo, this kid is gonna live a fucked up life. Yo, I'm not having this kid. Period.
But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. We're not talking about like what led to that point.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's the thing. Nobody is saying to himself, what is that point? Did you were walking up the street, going to the corner store, somebody just knock you down, impregnate you, and then, oh my God, I'm pregnant? No. 9 out of 10. I'm not saying that the other scenarios don't happen with rape and incest and this, that, and the other. But 9 out of 10, the majority of time, you voluntarily had sex. You voluntarily let a dude stick his dick up in you. You voluntarily let this motherfucker nut up in you.
Mm-hmm. So now that essence, you're saying bring the kid into the world?
No, I'm saying the fact of where was your frame of thought then?
That I don't have that I can have it.
Well, my frame of thought was that I can have an abortion. That is my
abortion. That's my thinking.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's the crazy part.
It's like, if there's no safety net, won't you think twice about what you're doing?
Yes, but there is a safety net. That's why they're not thinking twice.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe there should be no safety net. Maybe, here's the thing. The reality is, the ugly truth is.
Well,
the ugly fucking truth is, if you look at the statistics, from 1970 to now, we have, more single mothers than ever. We have more unwanted kids than ever. Mm-hmm. We have more poverty than ever. We have more crime than ever. Why? Because of the fact of all of these factors that people don't have any responsibility in the decisions that they make. People don't have any responsibility in the decisions that they make. If I can just go around fucking this one, that one, the other one, making babies left and right, I can get aborted if I want, or I can get on the state and let the state pay for it. Let the put any dude's name on the piece of paper, regardless of whether he's the father, and he'll pay for it. I have no fucking responsibility whatsoever. Girl power.
Yeah, well, I don't have any responsibility, so I have to get this abortion. I mean,
but when he's saying that, but because the abortion is like the out that you have, you're reckless with your womb.
Well, all I'm saying is this. Yeah, no, I don't think it would stop people from being.
If a woman has 20,
people from being reckless, though, I just think that there would just be less abortions.
But here's the thing, Kel, is the fact of if you look at now, you look at back in the day, right? If you did back in 1940 something, and you did the numbers and looked at when they didn't have 20 forms of birth control, they didn't have welfare, they didn't have abortion, this, that, and the other. Tell me what the birth rate was then. If women were going around just promiscuously having sex and not thinking about the responsibility of having a child. It's like, if anything, with all the options that you have now, there should be less of a problem, not more of a problem.
Well, listen, that's not necessarily true because even in Africa, when they were aborting before medical procedures, they would have them jump out of the tree and land on their ass. So,
bruh,
at the end of the day, there's always been ways to get rid of a child, and you don't want people creating
black markets.
Creative.
Yeah, and were abortions legal back then?
Before we go to Africa, before we go outside the country, we're talking about a first world country. Talking about the United States. Let's focus on the United States.
And what I'm saying is, in the United States, you don't want people getting creative and going to extremes or creating a black market, an underground market for this process. That will happen regardless because it's something that was already. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You understand?
And so niggas also gonna say.
It will happen, and it might become something that is a little more possibly expensive. You know what I mean? But it will still happen. Like this will happen. It's not going to be eradicated off the face.
I'm not saying it won't happen.
I don't understand why that.
Schubert, even so.
Let me finish. I had a point that I wanted to say. Why take away abortion? Just do what fucking China doing. Allow motherfuckers to only have one kid. How about that?
Well, they repealed that recently, but I know what you're talking about.
No, they repealed it recently because their population was going down. We know that. But I'm saying we could instill that down.
I see what you're saying.
But what's going to stop
taking that off the shit?
Schubert, what's going to stop these same people from saying, okay, well, I can't do abortion. I'm just give them up for adoption.
Well, listen,
like what's going to stop them from doing that?
I'm not saying stop people from doing this. What I'm saying is the fact is that instead of us saying like people need to be held accountable for the decisions that they make, we create more and more ways for them to escape accountability. That's all I'm saying. That's our society. But yet there is no room for men in that shit.
Well, I see what Black Zeus was saying, and I think he's saying like when you remove abortion out of this equation and you remove all of the welfare safety net in regards of taking care of some bastard kid, unfortunately, that's what they are. In some instances, you get less sexual promiscuity that is out there because you understand that the onus of having a child will fall squarely on you.
Not if there's still abortion. Not abortion. Excuse me. I'm sorry,
bro. When you say no, but when you take,
I didn't know. No, hold on. I didn't mean to say abortion. I meant when you can give the niggas up for adoption. That's what I meant.
Okay. But you're not gonna want to go through the process of carrying for 9 months if you know that I don't have the abortion route angle and I don't have the safety net of taking care of a child. You're gonna be like, I'm gonna be more cautious of my womb.
Or I'm going to be very creative and I'm going to get rid of this baby myself.
You could have that, yes.
I'm going to sound real cruel, but fuck it. Then be very creative. Be very creative then. Because here's the thing.
When you get creative, that you also put your life on the line, too.
You put your life on the line.
I put a gun to someone's head and shoot them in the head. You're not going to say, well, it's the gun manufacturer. It's the weather. It's this, it's that. You're going to say, I made that choice. I took that person's life.
But with the
Smith got the last word, and we're moving on.
Yeah, I just want to say with the way that America has gotten so soft and we're on this mental health kick, I could be wanting this abortion because it's not good for my mental health. So that card could be fucking played. It could be on the table. Nobody spoke about that shit yet. That's what we're dealing with in America. So we got to be mindful and careful because if you're forcing,
good point.
Hey, let me finish. Oh, okay. If you're forcing women to have a baby, but if you're forcing women to have a baby, and it's fucking with their mental health because you're forcing them to have a baby long term, what do you do then?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not forcing them. All I'm saying is that
Crystal, we'll take a look at it.
Well, time to move on, fellas. Time to move on. You know, especially when we don't got any females on this panel. I don't want this to, any female listeners to say, I can't believe we got 4 males talking about a subject that impacts only women. How dare them?
Oh, fuck that. Women talk about shit that impacts men all the time.
Exactly.
With complete immunity.
I girl show. Fuck that. We don't give a damn about your opinion, goddamn.
All right. Well, another issue where the Republicans might find themselves in a bind is student loan relief. So I just want to quickly play this segment, and we could talk about what the Biden administration is looking to do.
Through a federal repayment program being discussed by the Biden administration. KTLA's David Lazarus joins us live from our newsroom with more on what's in store for student debt forgiveness. Hi, Laz.
Hi, Micah. Student debt is approaching $2 trillion. The Biden administration reportedly looking at cutting off about $10,000 from many people's loans. Would that solve the problem, or are more sweeping measures needed? Here's a look. Emily Kralik graduated from Cal Poly Pomona with about $13,000 in student loan debt. 6 years later, it still hangs over her.
No matter how much I pay towards it, as can be witnessed by the fact that it hasn't budged much in about 6 years. So I feel like I just can't make a dent in it.
President Biden recently extended a moratorium on student loan payments until September. The average debt load for student borrowers now tops $30,000. Check out this chart. It shows how total U.S. student debt has soared from $980 billion in 2011 to $1.7 trillion as of last year. That's roughly double what Americans owe for credit cards. And the problem extends well beyond young people.
In reality, the fastest growing number of student loan borrowers are people who are 55 and over.
Barclay Denny, who works at the nonprofit Center for Responsible Lending, is no stranger to these issues. She's carrying more than $100,000 in debt related to her law degree. Last month, the Biden administration cut the debt load of millions of student borrowers. They'd been expecting help earlier from the Education Department that never arrived because of past mismanagement. So now what? I put that question to Kelly Leon, press secretary for the U.S. Department of Education.
But we're taking action now, trying to help borrowers manage those repayments and also fixing programs that can help them get to debt relief faster.
She cited federal programs that forgive at least some student debt in return for public service, or that help restore creditworthiness after a loan default or delinquency. Some progressives, including Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, are calling for cancellation of some or all student debt. They say this would provide a shot of adrenaline to the economy. Critics say such a move would unfairly benefit more privileged members of society. Leon said the Biden administration is open to all possibilities.
We are continuing to explore our options and what we can do with respect to broad-based cancellation.
Some experts believe the 1965 Higher Education Act empowers the president to order the Education Department to cancel student loans controlled by the government, which is to say, an act of Congress may not be needed. I asked Leon about that. She declined to comment.
As I mentioned earlier, what I can say is that we are continuing to look at our options with respect to debt relief.
For borrowers like Emily Kralik, experts advise exploring all available options, such as the public service program, as well as a program that ensures loan payments are pegged to one's income.
I'm a frugal gal. I don't have a lot of crazy.
Yeah, I don't care about her response. But so with that being on the table, there's other people who has been calling for debt forgiveness. There's been 8 attorney generals from New York, Illinois, Washington State that wrote letters to President Joe Biden this past Wednesday requesting forgiveness of student loan debts. There's some quotes in here expressing the need for this. Real quick, the forgiveness consideration that the Biden administration is looking at is $10,000, but there's a caveat that none of the news reports that I happen to see touched on this. Like, they're putting an income limit in regards to the $10,000 forgiveness. You have to at least be making $125,000 or less in regards to income. But fellas, this is looking like a strong possibility. So what do we think about student loan forgiveness? I know we touched on this in the past, but now that is really catching a lot of steam with midterm elections coming up. What do we think?
I'm all for it. Niggas need to give 10 G's to everybody else who paid off their student loan debt too.
But say that again, bro. Say that again.
I pay my shit off just like everybody else owed it, and now I don't get anything because I was a responsible adult.
Yo,
fuck out of here, else. So if they're not gonna do that shit, then no, because I make less than $125,000. And I damn sure made less than $125,000 when I paid that motherfucking loan back. So that's the only way that I'm for this.
Number one, I'm with Kel because I paid off my student loans. Number two, this chick bitching about 13,000. Are you serious, chick? Like it's taking you 5 years plus 5 years to pay 13,000. What the fuck degree did you get? A degree in basket weaving? Get the fuck out of here. It's your fault. And then the I'm sorry, the person who became an attorney and has 100, bitch, you making $250 a year bare minimum as an attorney. And you can't pay off $125? Kill yourself. Like, no.
Yeah, that's the only way I'm for this one. Fuck out of here. I need something for the middle class nigga who does something responsibly.
Say that again.
Because if not, like, yo, let me know. Because if this shit gonna pass, nigga, I'll go back to school right now just to fucking get 10 G's in debt. Nigga, I'll go to trade school. Take out a fucking loan, 10 G's only, just so that my shit could get paid back for free. That ain't right,
Yo.
Smith, what you got, brother?
Smith ain't got no loans.
No, I don't have no loans.
That nigga had a scholarship, bro. He can't chime in on this, bro.
Yeah, Smith smart ass. You know Smith got that academic scholarship.
It was athletic, bro. That nigga ain't as smart as y'all think.
My brother had loans. I know what loans are still.
My brother had loans.
I heard about them before. Somebody I know had.
I know what a loan is. I know who Sally Mae is and shit.
Y'all niggas ain't think
I know who Fast is. I know those people still.
I remember when I made my last payment on my student loan. I remember calling up Citibank and talking to the lady and be like, I think she was like, "Hello, this is let's say her name was Sally. This is Sally at Citibank. How can I help?" I'm like, "Sally, what's up, girl? Today's the day." She's like, "Excuse me, sir." I'm like, "Today is the day I'm sending my last payment." She was like, "Oh, congratulations." They even sent you a letter.
Yeah.
They even sent you a letter. When
they sent you a letter. Yeah, man.
Congratulations. That feeling right there, man. Woo.
Yeah. You call up, you ask for that balance, like, yo, calculate that shit correctly. I want to pay this off today.
Right now. Yeah. Don't have me owe 1 cent. And then y'all come 20 years later talk about
exactly, Cap.
Like the feeling of that last payment, boy, listen.
Yo,
what you got,
Smith? He ain't say nothing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Smith.
man.
So I'm with Kel with the, you motherfuckers already paid their shit back. What about them, right? But fuck that. Is this for going forward? So you got people in school now.
Yes, this will be going forward.
No. What I'm saying is it for the girl who already out of school though? It's for people who already graduated who still have these.
I see what you're saying. I don't know the details
for everybody
of that.
moving forward.
No, check it out. You got kids in college now and kids who are about to graduate going to college. Why don't they do something about the tuition?
Yes.
Instead of worrying about the backlash of the aftermath of it. Why don't they talk to these colleges about lowering their tuition?
Their tuition rate,
end up in these fucking debts because, okay, so soon my daughter will be going to college. Does this account to her? If she doesn't have a scholarship, does this, you know what I mean? Like how long is this sustainable, basically, is what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Like how many people does this affect? Because a lot of people go to school. Like, are you going to open up the Ukraine budget for America? Is that what they're talking about?
We ain't going that far.
I think
bailout, bro.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out.
I think this is just a bailout. I don't think it works like something that's going to be ongoing. I think they're more of like it's a bailout type of.
So this is a one-time deal.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it sounds like, and I think that's what Smith is concerned. He's like, yo, what about my daughter when she comes out? If this is going to be for the now and for now and here, yeah.
Like how the hell, or does this just if you graduated in the last 10 years, 15 years?
You graduate in the last, or you about to graduate in the next? Like,
I don't know. I think the Biden administration they're certainly having these talks. I don't think they've outlined exactly how they're gonna go about it because everyone is bringing valid questions. Every one of you guys, like from, do you retroactively help students who've already graduated and they're still carrying student loan debt?
There will be no student reparations.
does this go forward? For potential graduate students like Smith's daughter or son, or and I'm with Kel. What about the people who were making less than $125,000 and they still pay this off? Like, what compensation will they be getting? These are all valid questions, bro.
It should be a mixture of both, though. What Smith said as far as like either have the conversations with the colleges, tell them like, yo, lower y'all shit by 10 G's, and we'll fucking shoot y'all niggas 10 G's, and
college boys don't like that one, Henry. They cut your ass smooth off. Yo, you breaking up, man?
You hear me on that?
No.
Yeah, that's because I'm switching from fucking, my bad. I was switching from Wi-Fi to fucking data. But I'm saying that shit got to be in conjunction. Do both. Give them G's to the niggas who already graduated, and then either have that convo with the colleges and tell them niggas like, yo, you need to lower y'all shit. We'll give y'all niggas 10 G. We'll give a nigga 10 G's more in FAFSA or however that shit is, but it need to be for the niggas who's in that bitch and for the niggas who already fucking graduated. Biden, if you listen, nigga, I'm expecting my 10G check, bro. Cash, nigga.
I expect a 10G check. Cash.
Cash,
which
though.
Was,
yeah, okay.
You want a cash check?
Yeah, nigga, give me a cashier's check.
Tell them to Venmo you.
I'm tired of making fucking responsible decisions and not getting rewarded for it.
Hey, listen, this is what I was saying about the abortion thing. It's like, hey, everybody else got to be responsible, but this specific group.
You guys can hear me?
Yeah,
we can now.
AOC came out with a statement, basically.
Oh God.
To and for those who don't know AOC, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, she was questioned. She was asked that question about the people who already paid, and she came out with the statement. I was trying to find her tweet about it, but she basically said that not all programs are made for everyone. So
yeah, but this one here should be made for us. We fit the fucking criteria.
So I don't know.
Like it's not made for everyone, but it fits our criteria. Nigga, we fit the criteria for that shit.
Yeah. And the Biden,
you're already paid. You don't count.
You don't count, bro. The Biden administration. This might be a good thing for the Democrats going forward. Like I said, the Roe v. Wade and this issue with student loans could be a turning tide for the Democrats that wasn't going to fare well this upcoming midterm. They're saying that these two issues could definitely make Democrats a leading contender for this midterm. All right, one last story. There's a couple of things I wanted to touch on, but I definitely want to share this one last.
I wanted to just say this. Fuck that. They gotta pay their bill, man. They can drop the no. Look. Let me just say this. They can drop the interest on it. But they gotta pay that bill. You know what I mean?
Yo, you right.
Fair.
Like working out the interest. You know
what I mean?
That seems fair, right? But you got to pay that bill. You got to pay that. I'm sorry, you got to pay that.
I'll take that.
Yo, this type of money given, all last year.
Giving money like that. No, you got to, They got to pay that bill, man.
Yeah,
they got to learn.
And then,
drop the interest
and then on the back end, I'm about to suffer for this shit. So now I got to suffer for it. Poor niggas do, rich niggas do, and with niggas in the middle class who don't make the same decisions as me.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, making these sound decisions is not fucking paid off yet.
It's not. All right, last story, and then we jump into the book. This is from Rutgers. Who owns Newark? Rutgers-Newark study finds troubling rise in corporate buying of city homes. Within 3 years, nearly half of Newark's residential property was sold to corporate buyers, a model designed to enrich investors through returns from rent collection and a nationwide that can displace residents, impede home ownership, according to Rutgers University. Newark reported titled, "Who Owns Newark?" I would love to read that report in full details later. The Rutgers Center on Law, Inequality and Metropolitan Equity, called CLIME, found the city has the highest rate of corporate buyers in the nation, although the numbers are rising throughout America. This is especially true in mostly Black neighborhoods like Newark South and West Wards, where corporate property ownership is most prevalent. Between 2017 and 2020, 2,500 homes, more than 40% of the city's 1 to 4 unit buildings, were sold to institutional buyers. In Newark, many of the properties were bought by completely anonymous investors, prompting the title of Clime's report, "Who Owns Newark?" Transferring wealth from Newark's home owners to corporate buyers. Cline found no illegal conduct in its Newark analysis. However, there's the statement that they released is real estate investing is constitutionally protected activity, the report noted, but it warned of potentially harmful consequences. There's a lot more here to it, but I just wanted to get you guys, feedback or concerns that you might have regarding the rise of institutional buyers, not just nationwide, but even in our own very backyard of Newark.
Well, if niggas want to sell their fucking house, nigga, they gonna sell that shit. A nigga call you and be like, "I'm gonna buy a house over market value." I'm selling it to that nigga instead of the motherfucker who gets my number somehow and be like, "Yo, let's make a deal. I'm gonna buy your shit from you for less than what it's worth." So, I mean, unless it's a situation, as long as it's not a situation with gentrification, because that's what it is, where this is still a form of it where niggas is kicking you out and saying, and like, I'm okay with it. Like, my mom just bought this crib around the corner. There's this lot directly across the street where these developers came in, bought out every house except for one, because they just decided, like, I just don't want to sell. So now they're building these fucking luxury apartments. Nigga, they got one on one side, a house in the middle of that shit, and then the luxury shit is gonna be on the other side. Niggas always, as long as niggas have the option to say yes or no, yes, I want to sell, or no, I don't want to sell, then nigga, this fucking article doesn't really hold, like a valid argument. Huh?
It was a very valid argument though, because you have to understand that a lot of people in Newark are renters anyway. They don't own the houses that they live in. So for people who've invested in the city to sell these properties, a lot of them being Jewish, to sell these properties, it's a problem. So anyway, that's a great article. I just sent you all two links and shit because, like, if it wasn't Mother's Day, I probably would ask her if she was willing to get on here and talk about this shit.
I would love to hear her opinion some other time. Yeah. Like, we could revisit this issue some other time.
On the news, that's why I just sent you all the articles about that.
Okay.
And it's funny that you're talking about the corporate buyers because that's exactly what she was just on there with Mayor Rash Baraka talking about.
Oh, word? So my timing is perfect. I told you I'd be on it.
Your timing is on the money. So I was just having this discussion, and that's part of it. The institutional buyers that's buying it up, they're pricing people out of the city. Even Queen Latifah, which I was surprised that Queen Latifah, her properties are going, her 1-bedroom properties are going for $1,600, and it's like,
yeah, she had a ceremonial closing.
How is that affordable? Yeah. Who is that affordable for? I mean, we know who it's affordable for. I get it, but it's like you're definitely trying to price the average Newarker, and I'm not talking about the downtrodden Newarker. I'm not talking about him. I'm not talking about her or she or it. I'm talking about the Newarker who still works and they just work hard. And whatever choices or decisions they made, they work hard. They're hardworking. They could be an immigrant. They could be whatever. And they're just getting priced out of their city, and that's not cool. You know what I mean? So That's what I say.
Black Zeus.
And I want to say this: there is on this block that I live on. Everybody owns their house except a person across the street. An Indian guy owns the house. He rents it. You can always see the difference between home ownership and
renters. You certainly can. You most certainly can, Smith. Absolutely.
If you're pushing homeowners out and bringing it's not going to make it look what it should.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I got. But yeah, I would love to ask my mother to come on here and talk about that shit because she was just on the news talking about that shit.
Black Zeus, round it up, brother.
Starting off with the renters. That's the downfall to renting. You don't own shit, so you don't get to say shit. You get to pay whatever price that the landlord says. So mismeet the bullshit of acting like you own something and you have some sort of leeway to say anything. Once you rent it, you're asking to use someone else's property. You're asking someone else to take the responsibilities of paying the maintenance, repairs, taxes, and so forth on that property. And regardless of whether those taxes and maintenance goes up, you're still paying the same amount of rent according to the agreement, no matter what. So you don't get a say in the factor. Mm-hmm. Step 2, if you're a landowner or a homeowner, whatever the case is, and someone comes and offers you a deal, they didn't put a gun to your head. It wasn't the mafia. It wasn't, they threatened your child, this, that, and the other, said, hey, I know your property's worth, $100,000. I'll give you $200,000. And you say you'll take it. You did not get stiffed. You didn't, like, Kel said, you didn't get paid, less than what your home was worth. You got paid as a fair, equal deal. Third, if, someone comes in and buys up the property legally and fairly, they can do whatever the fuck they want to do with it. It doesn't, once again, property does not belong to you if you have not paid for it. If you're a renter, you didn't pay for it. If you're a landowner or a homeowner and you sold it, it's no longer yours to say what to do with it. Finally, this whole idea of gentrification, if you were living in that neighborhood all that time and you didn't see any need to buy it, take care of it, improve it, that's on you. You can't be mad that somebody else came and bought it for whatever it was worth then, and then they did better, and now it's worth something more now, and now you feel salty about it. Queen Latifah bought the property. She sold. She's renting it for $1,600 a month for a 1-bedroom. That is the going rate nowadays. If you don't make that kind of
housing.
Going rate based on what? The income of North?
Not affordable housing. That's not affordable housing.
I didn't say it was affordable housing.
But it's supposed to be, though.
The whole thing is affordable housing. That is at this point, that is a very, a very subjective term. Because one person's affordable is not somebody else's. There's always going to be somebody priced out. All right? That's always going to be the case. So if you're looking at, let's say, $1,600 a month, times 12 months, you're looking at $18,000 a year. $18,000 a year. If you make twice as much as that, because that should be 50% of your income should go based off of a basic. You're talking about 50% of your income going towards shelter. So that means that twice that would be $36,000 a year. That's basically the average American income, $36,000 a year. So if you feel that $1,600 is above what you could earn as a single person at the average of $36,000 a year, then you need to reevaluate your life. You making bad choices.
This is such a complicated discussion that needs a lot more time. And I want to, because I side with, I see where you and Kelvin are coming from, but I side with Smith in regards to this issue. And for the sake of time, I don't want to necessarily go into my points. I want to at least transition to the book, and then if we have time, if time allows it.
Give us a brief bullet point.
I think we need to have better consideration in regards of displacement of people. You can't have a swath of people completely displaced. Like for instance, you can't have people who can't afford to live in a community and your only solution is like, well, just go somewhere far when the job opportunities is in that city. It doesn't make for a healthy environment whatsoever.
Because when you're looking at that shit as a businessman, if I own whatever property in Newark, and somebody comes to me and gives me a offer that makes sense from a business standpoint, well, I'm not turning it down.
No, I get it. From that perspective, I get it.
And I'm saying from the standpoint of, the people who already own those buildings probably don't even live in the neighborhood.
No,
it's just not like I'm picking out.
No, you're absolutely right, Kel. I get that. I think, to be honest, it's just, for me, I have a level of compassion and understanding of community, and for me, I just think that you can't put a dollar on every single thing.
It's different though when you come from that community though, man. Like if you're not from that type of community and have never been from that type of community, but I invest in this type of community because it can make me the most money. Yo, I'm looking at that shit strictly from finances, right?
Understood,
like,
but you know,
but you can't. I'll say this. I'll let you go.
No, yeah.
They might even feel like, yo, y'all niggas can go live somewhere else in that community and not know, whether that shit is the truth or not. They may just feel that way. Like, but somewhere else in the community.
But the problem is when and I'm seeing this in my own town in Montclair. The problem is when you have a business investor comes in and they buy property for X amount of dollars, it has a riveting effect. Meaning, like, you see other owners saying like, oh shit, you got it for that much, I'm going to sell and cash out too, with complete disregard to the renters in that community. And then you have this situation as a displacement. Like for me, I listen to a real estate podcaster. She's phenomenal. She's very informative, and she invests in Baltimore. And one of the things she says as an investor is be conscious about the people in your community. It's just like not everything has to come down to a dollar and cents sort of thing. Like if there's a certain if there's a certain culture or feel about that community, try to do within your best to make sure that community stay intact. And I think that especially if you're someone who are, I'm not religious, but I have, a lot of virtues about me that I just feel like, you can't put a dollar on everything. And I like in Montclair with rents going up so high, Montclair has seen a 40% in decline in the African-American population. And that's why rent control was recently passed in Montclair, because it's just like you can't claim diversity and inclusion when you're purposely pricing out the people who can't afford to be here.
No, that's a crock of shit. Because the whole thing
it's not a crock of shit.
Hold on. Here's my thing. You're having two different separate arguments right there. The argument that there's less African Americans, and the argument of less lower class. The two are not synonymous. I'm sick and tired of people.
They are synonymous though. By
no,
numbers,
they're not, because the whole thing is
synonymous.
Hold on. My whole thing is you're defining African American as poor. So poor, African American, and poor. And the whole thing is the fact of, instead of saying
what is the income rate of African Americans?
Hold on. Let me finish my point. Instead of saying what we need to do is, as African Americans, do better so we're not poor, so we don't get priced out, we're saying lower the standard. And this is the problem. We're not.
Well, hold up, but you're not being truthful and honest in regards to how wealth is accumulated in this nation, though.
Hold on a second. Let me finish my point. The whole thing is the fact of, if we as African Americans are holding a certain standard for ourselves, where we might start off as renters, but let's say we started with, A, we're not having a bunch of kids out of wedlock and this, that, and the other, making babies left to right, this, that, and the other. B, we're furthering our education so we can get a better career. C, we're building families and homes so we can start building wealth and so forth and so on and move on and build on that. But instead, we're saying, instead of saying that, we're saying, no, someone needs to keep the bar low so that we don't have to do any better or make better choices for ourselves and escape accountability. And that's the thing.
Shoot, I'm sorry, bro. I'm calling a lot of bullshit on that because
okay, go for it.
Because here's the thing. I'm holding a book right here in my hand, and I encourage you to read this book called The Color Law by Richard Rothstein. And he talks about redlining in communities, and he talks about how historically speaking, how black people have been left out of the housing market.
Exactly.
And I'm saying
I agree with you on that.
But what I'm saying is when you see when black people for a very long time in this country have been relegated to be renters in this country, and then they've managed to occupy a space and now it's their community, but unfortunately due to the lack of wealth, because that's how most wealth is acquired, is through real estate. And now you're telling them, oh, because you got priced out, so what, do better. It's just like, yo, you're negating how most other ethnic groups have acquired their wealth in this nation.
And I'm not denying that.
So it's just like, but you're saying is, well, hold up.
What I'm saying is,
but what you're
not going to fix that problem. That we know that history. It happened.
But dog, when you look at the real estate landscape now, most of anyone could. So what are you trying to? But what I'm saying is, you're going to have renters. You know, you're just going to have renters. I just think that you can't constantly just be an investor, go somewhere and just price people out and constantly move them out of the communities that they reside in.
But the thing is, it's not just that you're just going to have renters. You can't. It's hard to become a homeowner if you have corporate entities buying up every fucking property.
That's another problem too.
Problem right there.
Yeah.
I can't become a homeowner when I'm competing with a corporate entity. Also, the corporate entity, if I'm renting from, there is no oversight. There is no overseer. It's a corporate company. You know how much red tape I got to go through to get shit done? Like, that's where all these problems lie. But if I go with home ownership and somebody owns the home and I'm buying it hand in hand like a used car type thing, you know what I mean? I'm going to get some kind of equity in that. I can't go up against these corporate companies buying up all the land. Plus, you don't see in your neighborhood, we buy houses for cash, but I see that shit in my fucking neighborhood. Why you don't see that shit in your neighborhood? It's a reason. Shit is set up for that.
Yeah, like the values.
You ain't gonna get it twisted.
I get those phone
listen,
calls
when I come out to my, you get a phone call. I say posters.
I've had people,
neighborhood.
Dude, I'm talking
about on the walls in the neighborhood.
But the values in Verona is not depressed like the values in Newark.
And I'm also
where it makes it easier for corporate buyers to come in and buy a whole block of property.
A whole block.
Bro, Blackstone has been.
They wouldn't even benefit for that though, because like the whole purpose, part of the reason why is because the shit is affordable and because it's close to major transportation, which they're selling as a selling point for.
Exactly.
Hey, this is why you should live here. I mean, look.
Okay,
I'm with.
So please explain to me if you keep the rents real low, right? You keep you because here's the thing, Cash, you own property. Mm-hmm. Let's say the law says you cannot raise your rents because of rent control, but they're still expecting more taxes out of you. They're still, you're still expected to pay any damages, this, that, and the other. Here's the thing. When you rent to people, are you saying you're renting based off of whether they're African American and they, it's a single mother with 3 kids, this, that, or you renting based off of that they can consistently pay you rent?
I'm renting off of who could pay the rent, but also at the same time, what I'm not going to also do is price gouge the community.
No, but I'm not saying you price gouging community.
But that's what tends to happen in these situations.
Happening.
You know what?
That is what's happening, though.
I'm with Schubert on this one, man, because Newark even had like these niggas have put together incentives for, you can get houses for cheap as hell. Yes, and like where?
Yes, but
do you know the stipulations behind that though?
Cheap wasn't cheap, bruh. Like
it wasn't. First off, there was a Ron Barack got a lot of flack for that sort of purchase. He caught a lot of flack for that, and then on top of that, there was it was a lot of stipulations behind buying those properties. First, you needed to repair. Let me get into it. Number one, you needed to repair. If it was a lot, you need to construct. If it was an empty lot, because they were also selling lots, you needed to construct a lot. I mean, you needed to construct a home within like a 2 to 3 year time period.
No, you had to put a fence on it first, and you had to build the house within 2 years.
Within 2 years, bro. Who has that money?
Like, who got that kind of money? That's why the corporate entities.
That's what a lot. So what they.
And if you bought a home,
but here's my question: if they kept the rent low, were you ever going to be able to buy property?
No. But I think also,
to buy property if you're working a minimum wage job, would you ever be able to buy a home?
Yes, you can. You can have the American dream.
I'm telling you right now. No, but I can't.
If I work and save, I should be able to buy a house.
But that's the problem.
On a minimum wage job.
But dog, that's the
I'm
problem.
Working more than one minimum wage job, though. Why you?
But that's the problem with how our nation got to the point where we're at now. Because back then you could have worked a factory job that was minimum wage and owned a home. You fast forward 100 years and you wondering like, what the fuck happened to our nation? This is why we got all the problems that we have now.
Exactly.
Like, come on, man. And the thing is, the one thing is, like, for me, with my tenants, I am conscious enough. I haven't raised any rent on any tenants that I have because at the end of the day, like my last tenants, the two guys, both of them left and became homeowners. And then when they talked to me, when I talked to Adam particularly, he said, yo, to be honest, you kept rent so low. Like, I want to thank you because I was able to save up money to buy a debt. You know how much pride
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
How much pride that gives me?
Hold up, stop. I'm happy for you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Like, come on, man. It's just like everything in our society is like, yo, we got a will and deal in currency. It's just like, yo, what happened to the connecting on a humane level?
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. If everything is so high and I'm working as minimum wage, I can never have that American dream because you're pricing me out of everything. That's what I'm talking about. Having it where it's sustainable so that I can own the home. But if all the corporate companies buy them, they're going to put the heights where I will never be able to own that. I will never be able to.
But here's my thing. You're saying this as if this is the way everyone thinks.
No,
I'm not saying how everyone thinks. I'm just saying this is the problem that we have in America. And to the point that Smith pointed out, there are towns and there are states and municipalities that are visiting moratoriums on foreign buyers and corporate institutions from buying properties because they are seeing that, especially Vanguard and Blackstone, they are buying properties, preventing people from becoming homeowners today, regardless of race, today. And they're saying like, yo, we need to cut this in the bud. Like, so this story is just
that's what happened in New York, though. Like, other niggas.
You're breaking up, Cal.
So, like, you sound like R2D2, nigga. Like, for real.
That's not what's happening in this situation. Where it's not like the homeowners or the nigga or the residents of that city were trying to buy a property and we're getting bought out by these companies.
But that's what the story is saying, though. That's the study. What the study is saying. The study is saying that you have corporate buyers coming in, outbidding potential residents.
So that's the story. So these residents who were, I'm assuming they were currently renting, are ready to buy houses, and they're getting outbid. Like,
yes, that is happening nationwide.
So it just so happened that this year these niggas are ready to start buying this, and now they're getting outbid. Like, where were they?
It doesn't matter when they wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's the bullshit, cuz.
You're trying, like, it doesn't matter when you're trying to do it. The problem is you have a situation is, like, to Smith's point, I can't out-compete Blackstone and Vanguard, bro. You're talking about multi-billion-dollar institutions who could buy blocks at the snap of a finger. And I'm trying to be a homeowner.
Yeah, I'm just trying to buy a house, exactly. And you
know the funny thing to me, though? here's the funny thing. When I think of most of the black people that I know that own property or own homes, most of them, they might have the money, they might have saved the money and this, that, and the other, but they never buy in the community that they was renting in. They always buy outside of that shit. They always move outside of that fucking neighborhood for some reason. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting when we make this argument about like, oh, everybody's getting priced out, but nobody's like, oh, I was renting on First Street and I'm trying to buy a house on Second Street. Nope, they're like, fuck this neighborhood, fuck this town. I'm out of here.
I'm going somewhere else.
I'm going somewhere else. So it's kind of funny to me.
And everybody on this podcast
but we can't dictate where one wants to buy a home.
Exactly.
The issue
is that you're buying up the homes that people are living in and renting, pricing them out, this, that, and the other. But the same people who live there don't want to live there.
That's not true. That's not true, though. But that's
you can't make that true assessment. You don't know every potential homeowner.
But you're making that argument as if every renter is a potential homeowner.
They could be.
You're making the argument. Every single one.
They could be. We don't know. They could be a potential homeowner. But the problem,
once again, we don't know.
But the problem is if and this is regardless of race now, the problem is you are now not competing amongst your peers. You are competing against institutions. Yo, you know how many nights I am very thankful that me and my wife bought our house when we bought our house in Montclair, because today, if we were to try to buy a house, we're not competing against the Schuberts, the Smith, the Henrys. No, again, like I said, we're competing against the BlackRock, the Vanguards, all these other institutional investors out there that are multi-billions, multi-hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I hear you.
They pulled that money together and said, we're going to go buy a property.
And then what they're doing is they're not putting that house back on the market to sell to make a profit on a flip. No, what they're doing is they're putting that house back on the market so that you become a renter.
And I get that.
Or you go buy in a different neighborhood. Sorry, nigga, you missed out.
But they're doing this in a lot of neighborhoods.
But there's 2 points, Brad, and you know this to be true. Point number one, the main reason why all these major investment groups are doing it is to hold, the value of their dollar because of the inflation rate with everything that's happened in the last,
that's
2
true.
years or so. All right. Secondly, is the fact of you niggas have been living in those motherfucking spots for the last 20 some odd years, and now y'all bitching this 2 years, this sudden shock, and now y'all bitching. Y'all had 20 years or more of
that's the same shit.
And guess what? I need it, because of all the systemic oppression against me, I need 5 more years to get my money.
Well, look, just like Cash said, that nigga struck while he made it in Montclair in a good time. So any other one of us who try to make it over there now, we're gonna have a harder time. The shit's gonna be, we either not gonna be able to do it because developers are there, or we got to pay more money.
Okay. So
y'all niggas should have had
What about back in 2008 when they were selling to anybody? No income, no job, no assets, no problem.
And what happened? Schubert, no, what happened? No, be honest.
It crashed and burned.
And exactly. And all those people who bought those houses, no, what they call ninja application, they quickly realized they bought a fucked up predatory loan and they lost their house immediately after purchasing their home. So don't say so let's be honest in regards to the situation.
Yeah. I know what the situation is. I get what the situation is. What I'm saying is you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You want this perfect storm where everyone who can work a minimum wage job or basic bare minimum income to have it all. And we don't live in that. Let me finish my point.
Uh-huh.
We don't live in that economy anymore. The economy where everyone could get a house or whatever the case was, no matter what job they had, this, that, and the other, was way back in the day. One, let's be real, before the feminist movement, right, where you didn't have as many women in the market, you know, and you didn't have as many people going college careers, this, that, and the other. So you had to go based off of the fact that the average American made $15,000 a year, $20,000 a year, and you had to do it based off of that. But when we changed the landscape, when you had more people, more education, higher salaries, all of that changed the market, because the buyer changed, the market changed. If the buyer can't afford it, if 99% of the buyers can't afford it, then guess what? You got to bring down your prices. But if the whole thing, as long as you have buyers that can afford it, you're going to go and sell your shit for, you know, your Louis Vuitton for $400 when somebody else is selling a Chinese wallet for $20. And the whole thing is, you're going to be mad that, hey, the knockoff is not as good as the original, but you get what you pay for. And I'm sorry, but that is the way the market runs. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that it is what it is. And
you deal with the consequences of when you start pricing people out.
There's a part. There's a part that plays, especially in Newark. There's a part that plays, especially.
Here's the thing. Once again, here's the thing. If we're not teaching people the autonomy that they have and that the power that they have in the decision making that they make from the time that they're a child, to say, listen, you got to make better choices. You can't, you know, and I'm sorry, but the reality is, most people that are in poverty have a certain set of choices that they've made, whether it be education, it be, you know, child rearing, not being in nuclear families, and inconsistency and instability. You don't find that shit with people who actually put in the work. And this is you're talking to 4 dudes who all put in the work and don't have these problems. If you were talking to me about people who put in the work and still were having these problems, I'm like, yo, I'm with you. But you're talking about people who are not putting in the work, but they're supposed to reap the rewards.
Okay. On
That's
that note,
all I'm saying.
I want
go ahead, Smith.
So again, I'm going to still say that, some of this is true and some of it I don't agree with just because it is.
But I definitely,
like I said, girl.
Well,
no. Oh girl, she's going to, you know, I'm going back to Latifah. So a 3-bedroom costs $26, $27, $64, something like that, right? And I hear you with, well, why don't I get property? Guess what? I got to pay this rent for $2,674, $2,764. I should be able to get a mortgage. But because the corporate buyers have bought up fucking everything, I can't even buy a fucking house. You understand? That's the problem. You know what I mean? I could pay this fucking rent. Now, the thing that happens with Newark, where we're not talking about, yes, unfortunately, fuck a choice that somebody made. Fuck a choice, because I don't know what lifestyle person had. I don't know what, I can't go with that shit. So fuck a choice that they made. I do know that the choices that you make results in the consequences you receive. However, I do understand it's about Newark. A lot of people do get subsidized housing, or they do get Section 8. So in that stance, I can make your fucking rent $5,000 because the government's going to pay most of that shit. You see what I'm saying? This is where the fucked up part of that comes in. And motherfuckers is preying on that shit. Like, I'm not coming in with the thing to make the community better. I'm coming in here to profit. And that's the fucked up thing, because when you bring people in for profit of the community, you lose the community, because the people who was of the community are no longer there. And the new people that you think are coming in, they're not making that community. You've lost that community.
Facts. I'm seeing this on my block now.
This is why a Flatbush could become like a Dumbo. You know what I mean? This is why Brooklyn
I know what you mean.
So much. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to still put that part. So if I'm getting priced out to the point where a 3-bedroom is damn near $3,000, the fuck? You know that's a more.
I wouldn't have no problem if a section of Newark turned out like and wasn't the hood. I'm okay with that.
I'm saying a section is going to be like that. It's already turned.
But my whole thing is,
but what I'm saying is
so what you're saying is,
and I'm not talking Henry and Black Zeus. I'm not talking about the impoverished person that don't want to do anything. I'm talking about the person that is working hard. You know what I mean? I'm talking about that.
But the person who's working hard, that if they got two other people working hard and they split that 3-bedroom, that $2,700 3-bedroom,
they
three
can
ways,
still get
that's
that shit.
$900. That's
you can still save your money,
bro.
That's $1,000 a month.
And you can still save it.
You can't afford $900.
You can still save it.
But this is what
that's less than the 1-bedroom.
But you're also looking at me possibly being just out of college and not having any kids, because if I have a kid, that 3-bedroom don't work. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
but if you take 2 more roommates, and that 3-bedroom is a possibility.
Yeah, we do it like the China and the Hispanics have done all years. I get that part.
Yes.
Well, no, not even.
That doesn't work though.
I mean, the 2,700.
That doesn't work.
The 2,700 becomes a little bit more.
It doesn't work for me to be priced out of my community. That doesn't work for me to be in a community.
The 27.
It doesn't work for me to be in a community where I see buy houses for cash on every corner, posted billboard, telephone sign, and when you go to your car, you got "will buy car for cash." You don't see that in your neighborhood. So miss me with the bullshit. You know what I mean? It's targeted, and it's targeted.
If y'all feel that strongly, why ain't y'all buying up all the houses in the community?
We got the equity, bro.
Because I don't have it to buy it up.
I don't have to buy it up.
Give me my reparations. Give me my reparations, and I buy the block. Give me my reparations, I buy the block, bro.
Yeah.
Give me my reparations, I buy the block.
No, it's not even. No, it's not even that.
Give me my reparations, and it'll go back to looking like Tulsa, bro. I go back to Black Wall Street, bro. Like, give me my reparations.
Smith.
Like, come on now.
No, it's not even that. It's not even
it
that.
Is that. It's called generational home ownership.
If y'all niggas
to get there in America.
But if y'all feel about it, nigga, then that means that y'all niggas should still be living in Newark. Y'all never leave. Ever.
What?
Like, if y'all feel that strongly about the people in the community, then you should be buying your house in the community. Like, if we had a lot, just to Schubert's point, which I do kind of agree with, if a lot of niggas said, you know what, I'm staying in my community, I'm buying in my community, and when these people come in and try to say, hey, we're gonna sell you, we will buy your property, everybody stands. This is our community, nigga. We grew up here. This is where we from. We're not fucking selling to y'all niggas.
Smith done that. So what are you talking about?
And I'm about to say, and
no, I'm just saying.
KRS did that. Shantae just did that. Like that shit is happening, bro. But it's still not happening.
But for every Smith,
give me my reparations, nigga, and I could buy the block. I could be fucking Vanguard. I could be Blackstone. I could buy all that shit.
Smith, it's not even about buying a.
Give me this.
You don't even have to buy
the talking about.
But Smith, you don't have to buy the block. Smith, you don't have to, because if you
but I could, and I could make affordable.
Friends from high school all say, you know what,
Henry, you're missing it.
But
I
when it comes down to that, though, Smith,
but you're missing it because I can have affordable housing with people who are good people, bruh. Like, y'all just think that affordable housing make motherfuckers is fucked up. It don't mean that.
No, Smith, that's not what I'm saying.
Motherfuckers just had some
that's not what I'm saying.
Some issues, but they can get back on their feet.
No,
and then
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if niggas was about like, yo, this is my community, this is where I'm staying, then all your niggas from high school who made it would still be in Newark. They would be homeowners, and when these niggas come in and try to push y'all out, y'all be like, yo, we're not leaving.
Bro, you can't dictate that because people have job opportunities in other aspects of the elsewhere. So it's just like you got to go where the job opportunity is. Like, come on, man. That's but
pigeonhole people. So I can't live in Paris. I got to live in North.
Exactly.
I can have property.
I
can still have property in here.
So you telling me that y'all? So you telling me that there ain't no niggas who y'all know?
Yo, most of the cats I know don't live. Yo, most of the cats I know where I grew up in Newark, they don't work in Newark. They don't live in Newark because of where their jobs is located. So what are you saying? Most people who work in Newark lives in Newark.
You said most of the people you know.
Most of the people I know, I went to high school with, the friends that I grew up with, they don't even, some don't even live in Jersey. Some that do live in Jersey, their jobs, they live closer to their jobs so that way they don't have to deal with a large commute. So it's just like, that's what people tend to do. People tend to live near where their jobs are located.
They don't have to commute too far.
So they don't have to commute too far.
I'm going to have to give you some pushback on that. because my sister's a teacher in Newark.
That's your anecdotal story. I give you stats.
No. You gave me anecdotal story.
No, you want me to pull up stats? I will pull up
most of the people you know. Cash, you just said most of the people you know. That's anecdotal.
But what I'm saying, I was saying that because it's based on how statistically most people live within the community that they work in.
Yeah, but I know a lot of niggas from Newark specifically who can still have the option to live in Newark who chooses not to. Cash, you moved to Montclair.
That's because my wife. I would have lived. That was because of my wife. I could have chose to live in Newark, but at the same
of course
time,
you could have. But would you?
Would you? Yes, I would, bro. I swear to God, once she come in here, I would ask you. I could have her right now and tell you where I wanted to live when we wanted to buy our first house. That's how much I was passionate about a Newark, bro. Like, yo, just because of where I'm at doesn't mean I lose passion for the people that are in Newark.
I didn't say
that.
That's
not the point. The point that I'm saying is,
you're making the disassociation, whereas I'm
making a connection that the people who have the chance to stay there and be the homeowners and stop these niggas from coming in and buying the properties left Newark. That's
but at the same time, but at the same time, hold up. But at the same time, hold up. At the same time, what's also happening and what is being divulged in this story, and I'm glad Smith sent his story because it coincides with the story I read. What is happening is when people were ready to buy houses and they were finding themselves to be outbid, they were under the presumption that they were just bidding against their peers. What they didn't realize they were losing to corporations who were outbidding them by 20, 30, 40%. Who has that equity?
And part of the reason why that shit won't happen in certain instances, in certain neighborhoods, is because a lot of them niggas are already homeowners. So people who live there own the homes. So if the niggas in Newark own their houses in Newark, then when these dudes come in,
I can tell you right now, in Montclair, you got a lot of investors.
At the end of the day, that sounds like a crock of bullshit because any urban environment in America, that shit is happening to. And most urban.
So let me ask you a question.
Urban
environment.
Let me ask you a question.
Most of them are not homeowners. You know that is long-standing systemic racism with all the fucking redlining and putting them next to industrial factories and building and making people live out in communities where they don't want to live. Like, let's not get it.
Well, no, but Smith, that goes back to my original point, though. I was saying that, I'm not for it if you're kicking a nigga out of the house and saying, you like what they did with the Barclay Center. We're gonna tear down all of these projects,
like what they did
because we want to build this. Yeah,
when they built 78, Route 78, and displaced American neighborhoods out of that area. Like, come on.
Exactly. So but that's what I'm saying. All that I'm saying is, if it's a situation where I'm a homeowner, a nigga's coming to me and is offering me a deal, it's not the same thing as saying, y'all niggas gotta go and we pushing you out. If I'm a homeowner and y'all offer me a deal and I say yes, that's the decision that I make. If I'm from that city and I'm feeling some type of way that all these dudes are coming in and majority of people from that city own the properties, they're not letting that happen.
I see what you're trying to say, but at the same time, most people don't. But what I'm saying is, at the same time, most people don't even realize how prevalent this is. So when they're selling their home, they're just like, I didn't realize I'm selling to. Because what's also happening is these Blackstones and Vanguard, they're not saying, hey, I'm a representative of Blackstone. No, they have sub LLC set up where you think you're buying it off of one individual, but yeah, they're associated with this much larger institution.
Let me just say something real quick, and this is on a different note. It's 10:45.
Yes,
Mother's
I know.
Day, and my mom is at the door.
Tell your mama I said Happy Mother's Day, man. Enjoy it, bro.
Mother's Day.
All right, so.
But damn, man. We didn't took the first two out. We took the last out to talk about.
If you look
I
at
got about 15 more minutes myself.
Listen, if you look at Hoboken, right? And you see the crazy rents at Hoboken.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the crazy ass rents at Hoboken. And guess what? People are still paying them. And I know quite a few people who have lived together with 4 and 5 roommates in order to afford to live in Hoboken because it's so close to New York, because it's like for the convenience of being able to get to their job or whatever the case may be. People made a way. So it's not like it's just happening specifically in Newark. It happens everywhere.
No, we're saying that.
Everywhere. It's just that people, here's the thing, is that people are not willing to adapt to their situations and make choices when those situations happen.
No, but it's happening.
Because here's the problem. Once again, if you're a renter, you have no say. And I understand that maybe, hey, listen, you had some hardships in life or whatever your story may be. But I'm sorry, that's the problem. You have no say.
That shit is it's called environmental racism, bruh. That shit exists.
Environmental racism. Yeah. Now we have a whole new level of racism.
Yes, that shit.
It's not just the
I didn't make this shit up though, but I've been looking into.
I know you didn't make it up. I know somebody made it up. It's always racism. But it's never just the fact that people want to make money.
Because it started from the red line.
Make money.
No, because it
was. But you can't. But to the point of
like where it started from, man.
But my thing is, to the point of, I understand people want to make money, but I think that's by and large is the issue with our nation today. And granted, we didn't get into this, any other book question today, but this is what happened. You had the baby boomers who were willing to outsource corporations to other nations, and now you got a generation or two with the millennials who don't know how to do shit. So now when you have a pandemic that happens because you put a price tag on people's work capabilities because you want to get cheaper labor somewhere else, now when a pandemic happens, you're fucked because now you're vulnerable to a Russia, some overseas nation now. You can't put a price tag on everything because you eventually screw yourself.
Yeah, yes and no. So here's the thing. There's a fact of, yes, you can't put a price tag on anything, but we do. At the end of the day, we do.
And we pay for it.
Hold on. Whether you're talking about being a consumer or you're talking about being an employee, you put a price on what you do. If someone doesn't say the right numbers, you ain't gonna, I'm sorry. Let's be realistic. Hakeem is a teacher. He works for the school system. Is he gonna take a pay cut for the community? No, he's not.
You don't know that.
Hakeem?
Am I going to take a pay cut?
Are you going to take a pay cut for the community? If they said, listen, Hawk, we need to cut back by, we need to cut your income by let's say 10 grand. Are you going to take that pay cut for the community?
And when am I getting it back?
When we get it back. I thought we were talking about the community. That is your payback. The community does better.
But you know what?
But look, I'm going to be honest with you. Depending on the scenario and the situation, I might be willing to do that, but you can't ask me that because I'm different, and that's the problem. Look, I'm gonna say this. I want to say this. Remember, I went in my own pocket and bought the whole school pizza. You know what I mean? And bought the whole fucking staff.
A lot of teachers do that. A lot of teachers have to go in their own pocket and subsidize the classrooms. Exactly.
They said they would reimburse me, but I wasn't sure. But you know what I mean. So
you did it anyway.
Let me ask you a question. I'm different. I'm willing to make a sacrifice for the whole.
And I hear you. But let me ask you a question. How much did you go in your pocket for?
$223.92.
How much is your annual salary? Don't even give me the full number. But
it's above six figures. Right.
All right. So that 200 out of 6 figures you make, you really think that's a loss for you?
Hey, when I said we could just get $5 from every teacher, you think that was a problem?
No. When I'm asking you a question.
Yes, that's a loss for me. Yes, that's a loss for me.
So
any loss is a loss for me because I pay child support. I got kids, so fuck. Listen, my situation is different, bro. I'm sorry.
I feel you.
I'm not. You can't live. I'm
not disagreeing with you.
My situation is different. Hell yeah, any loss I took was a loss.
I feel you, bro. I
was mad gas.
What I'm saying is the fact of even when you talk about we could be in a 6-figure spot and kick out $200. It's like, yo, that's a big commitment for me. That's not like shit I could just toss. All right, and the whole thing is nobody does this shit. But the whole thing,
that's not true. It's shit I could toss. But if I'm doing it for whatchamacallit, you know what I mean?
One time.
And I say that I say that because I say that because I wish Sherry was still on here. I've been out with our coworkers and motherfuckers argued about the bill, and I picked up $300 bills. So that's not the issue. You know what I mean? It's just about what is relative to me spending it to. What I want to spend it on, I don't mind.
Exactly. When the power is taken away from you, that's the thing. You want the choice. You want the choice to put your money where you.
But I would say this,
man. That's what I'm saying with home rental. I don't get that choice to buy a house.
What I'm saying is the fact that, but the whole thing is, here's the thing. Yes and no, you don't. Yes and no, you don't. Yes and no, you don't. All right, hear me out. Yes, you do, because here's the thing. You got so many people that make so many sacrifices that will live the most bare minimum life in order to stack up their dough and do what they got to do. You know what I mean?
I give you that.
They do what they got to do.
I will give you that because
one of those people.
There's a lot of people,
and the whole thing is, y'all know when I bought mine, I put 100 stacks. All right, that how long it took me to pinch, and I told y'all there was times when I was having cereal for dinner. All right, I made those sacrifices to get what I want in the long term. And the whole thing is the fact of I'm not talking like I'm just coming from some rich kid or something like that. I came from the fucking beat up ass apartment with the cockroaches and furniture from fucking Salvation Army and stuff. I came from sleeping on the floor, from having to stay cool because we can't afford an air conditioner, and the only way to stay cool is stay as low on the ground as possible. I came from eating fucking cups of noodles and my mom stealing insurance from the hospital that she worked at to get by and stuff. I know that struggle, and that struggle should motivate you to step up your game and do better. My mom came home night after night, fucking exhausted, doing double shifts at Irvington General Hospital and at this nursing home that she used to work at. Tell me how she had to clean shit out of people's asses, all right? And how she didn't want me to have to do that. My father was a janitor at a nursing home until he was 70 fucking two, because he couldn't retire because he had to make sure all his kids did well because his last daughter was still in college at Rutgers University at the time. All right, I know what that struggle is. I don't come from money. I know what that struggle is. But the whole thing is the fact of we're not thinking about generation after generation. We're just thinking about in this moment right now. We're not trying to teach our kids to do better. We're not trying to step ourselves up. We ain't trying to make sacrifices. We want to make excuses for our bad choices and this, that, and the other. And it's just like, I'm not saying it's easy. I recognize the history. I recognize what's happened. All I'm saying is the fact that if you're waiting for baby white Jesus to come save you, if you're waiting for Barack Obama to come save you, nigga, he ain't coming.
Well, hold up, bro. But this is the problem. This is my pushback with you: is identifying a problem and trying to nip the problem in the bud. And we're reading a book about a generation, particularly in baby boomers, who had encountered a bunch of problems during their living, and they didn't address any of the issues. And the issue that we're facing now as American citizens, racist aside, American citizens, is we're having a nation that is being bought out by corporations, where people are not owning what? Now. And I'm saying is this is a problem. And I think that we need to get
90s.
And I'm saying,
then we know that there were problems.
But hold up. In the 80s and 90s, corporations they were not wielding this sort of power in regards of buying property in the magnitude that they are. And I will have to go back and understand the laws surrounding why they weren't doing it then versus to now. Because we can't talk out of our butt without having all of the details as to why in this particular moment it is happening. Because what this author is pointing out, there's always a reason as to why certain things are happening.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But
So
what I'm saying
what I'm saying is when we talk about what I'm saying is, all right, and you brought up the 2008 financial crisis. One of the things that came out of the 2008 financial crisis is stricter regulations. Not stricter regulations against corporations. It was really stricter regulations against the individual, because it made it so much more difficult for the individual to buy a home. You needed to put a whole lot more down. You needed to provide a whole lot more documents, bro. And we've all homeowners. I don't know how recently you guys bought your home, but I bought my home within the past 10 years, shortly after 2008. The number of documents, even leading up to the closing date, that I needed to provide was insane compared to people 20, 30 years ago did not need to do that. Like they put more roadblocks for the regular everyday Joe Jane today versus to how it was 20, 30 years ago. And I think this story regarding Newark residents, there's a lot of reasons Smith pointed out, there's a lot of reasons why this Newark residents have remained renters versus to homeowners. And and for me, I'm not going to simply just boil it down to, can you have some aspect of people not sacrificing? Yes, but there could also be other reasons as to why we have a group of people within this community that have not become homeowners. And one of the reasons is because the lack of generational wealth. And they talk about how, within this article itself, it talks about if you were someone who was able to acquire a home in the 20s and 30s, that was a huge game changer, which by and large Black people were left out of. Like we can't ignore that, man. That sort of generational wealth and stuff. And I get it. Yes, we could become better employed, get better skills and better that. But now we're facing a different environment now. It's like we could do all of that and still lose. And why are we losing?
And here's the thing, like, listen, real talk. When I was coming up, I lived in an apartment building all my life, and I knew friends that lived in my neighborhood of East Orange that their parents owned the home that they lived in. Okay, their parents owned the home that they lived in. It may not be the most beautiful home, may not be the most decked out home, but they lived the home that they lived in. And I've seen a couple of these niggas, a couple of them. All right, like stay in their mama house. They 20, 30, they 40. Stay in their mama house.
I know where you go with this. And the house is gone now.
And the house is gone. And I'm like,
because nobody contributed to keeping the house.
Yo, and that shit made me so fucking mad.
I get that.
You had the starting point. And it'd be crazy because it's not like one dude. It might be 2 or 3 of them. All right, and then it's like one of them. They pissed me off so much. It was John, Crystal, 4 kids. No, I'm sorry, 2 girls, 3 boys. 5 of them. Right? They living in their mama house. They live in their mama house, damn rent free. Niggas just jumping from bullshit job to bullshit job. All right, no responsibility, this, that, and the other. Mama said, like, if all y'all gotta do is take your ass to school, do what you gotta do, and you don't gotta pay me rent, nothing. These niggas did not do that. They chasing pussy, they getting bitches pregnant, they doing all types of dumbass shit, right? Mama, fucking mama died and shit. There's $20,000 on the house. $20,000. Like, nigga, the 5 of y'all could have stayed there, split that, and had a house? No. I know another motherfucker right now. The father has Alzheimer's. The mother has, I forget what the mother has, but both the mother and father are ill.
They're ill. Okay.
The mortgage has not been paid. All right. The mortgage has not been paid in almost a year. All right. The daughter is living there with her man and her 3 kids. All right. And they on this you ever heard of the 5 percenters? Like the Black Israelites and shit.
Oh, yeah, the Black Israelites. Yeah.
Like you ever heard these? Oh, I'm not going to pay the man and this, that, and that. But you living in the house. Y'all got this big ass house right over, if you know where the VA hospital is. If you know where the VA hospital is, is that Orange or West Orange? Towards South Orange. They like right on the border of like Orange and South Orange. They in a beautiful spot, a big ass house. And everything. They about to lose that fucking house because they on some bullshit. And I'm like, you niggas could have the opportunity and still bitch and moan that there's some sort of oppression or racism or this, that, and the other. Instead of saying, what the fuck am I doing? What's the choices I'm making? And the whole thing is, it's like, I don't see it happen. And it's like, it's frustrating for me because I know where I came from, and I know the struggles I came from, and I saw it, and I know there's other people like yourself, Bradley, who your mama, did whatever the fuck she could to help you be better, so that you could have the opportunities you have now. I look at my little sister who grew up with me, sharing a bedroom with me till all the way till I moved out and stuff. She's in high school. Imagine you sharing a bedroom with your brother, all these fucking years, even when into your teenage high school years and shit. You sharing a bedroom with your brother and stuff. And then she is a teacher in Newark. Guess what? She buys a house in fucking Roseland. All right? Like, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just like, I get community. I get the community aspect. I'm not mad at the community aspect. But I'm just like, I'm mad because it's like opportunities were there. Motherfuckers made the right choices and said, you know what? Let's stack our dough. You know what? Let's put our money into our community. Let's look out for one another. Let's take care of each other. But the whole thing's the mindset so fucked up. And instead of the mainstream, us, saying, like, listen, I did it, y'all could do it too. It's like, no, it's not their fault. It's this, it's that, it's that, it's this, it's that. It's just like, yo, real talk. Are you serious?
Well,
are you really serious right now?
I want to say this though before I get off. Don't think just because somebody's in a position that they have the knowledge. You know what I mean?
But that's what I'm saying. Even if you don't have somebody had the knowledge to get the house in the first place.
No, but yes, somebody could have had that knowledge. But if it was passed down and then the youth don't have the knowledge, or there was never a conversation about it, about what it takes or what it instills, if there was never a sit down, which doesn't happen in a lot of families. The family don't sit down and have these conversations about property and wills and burials and fair rooms. Like,
and I hear you on that.
I know that that's not a situation that happens, so that's why I can on it, because I speak to my kids about this shit that wasn't necessarily spoken about in my household. You know what I mean? That wasn't as spoken about with my grandmothers and my great grandmothers who own a plethora of properties. You know what I mean? But because my cousin and I, we talk quite a bit. We always say, "Damn, our grandmother left the property, to their kids, but they were supposed to leave some property to us because they kids always end up. The kids generally fuck it up somehow, and then it's the next generation that says, "Oh, how did y'all fuck that up?" You know what I mean? So you still got that part, but when you still got people coming in and you got these groups that come in and buy shit, and you can basically raise the price in Brooklyn to where nobody wanted to live in Brooklyn before, but you raise the price to where that shit is almost as expensive as Manhattan, and in some places more expensive than Manhattan, then America is on some shit in their urban environments, bro. That's all.
And I would say this, maybe this is my last point to that, is even when Black folks had the opportunity to buy the properties in these said communities, a lot of these houses were in fucked up conditions, bro. That needed it needs a whole lot more money to repair the shit than they actually had. That's one of the things that I've been reading lately. There's a lot of people who've been buying houses the past 2 years, finding themselves having to resell the home because they couldn't afford that. That was a lot of Black people's experience in America, where it's just like, okay, you bought that house, but now the roof needs to be repaired. Now the water heater needs to be placed. And the one thing, again, I got to go back to the color of law. There's a chapter in here that talks about if you were a Black person that was able to buy a house, one of the fucked up things that FHA did was they didn't give you the construction loan if something was to happen to your home, where you couldn't repair your home. So now you couldn't occupy the home that you lived in because it was in a fucked up state.